Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Guile here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. Now, be honest, how many of you out there expected a cast to materialize today? I'm guessing probably less than 20% on a good day. Wouldn't be your fault because, let's face it, I've been terrible. I don't know what's going on at the moment, guys. I really don't. I just can't seem to get well. It's insane. It's like some multi-dimensional alien plague has been set upon this section of England. It's horrendous. Oh no, wait, it's just winter. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, you've all been very mild-mannered about it, and believe me, I appreciate it. Mr. Funk Soldier on YouTube said in the comment section the other day that he uses the treadmill while watching my casts, and if I don't cast, he can't use his treadmill, and it's all my fault. Well, I'll have you know, Mr. Funk Soldier, that the dad bod is officially in at the moment. So actually, when you look at it in a certain light, I'm doing you a favor. There you go, those fashion tips, all free of charge here at Guildcast, all part of the user experience. Anyway, let's get on with today's game. Pro level custom 1v1 action this afternoon. Very exciting stuff, and I don't have any news or information to bring you about the community because I've hardly been here, so we can go straight to the action, which this afternoon is going to take place on Stella Maris 1v1. I'm ready. You guys are ready, and the players are sure as hell ready. So let's go on over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. Now, Stella Maris 1v1, I think I've cast a couple of games on this map. Not entirely sure, but either way, we will do a quick recap for the uninitiated of you out there who are unfamiliar with this one. First of all, let's introduce our players up here at the top in Burgundy, going Cybrin. It's none other than JaggedAppliance, and he is opening first land going Cybrin, and his opponent down here at the bottom left, none other than our good friend ZLO, who seems to be casting more than just about anybody else at the moment. He's playing an awful lot, always nice to see, but he's not playing his typical Cybrin. He's going UEF today in lurid green. And that's not the result of a random pick, incidentally, I don't think, because on my travels, my many travels to find something interesting for you guys to watch, watching lots of replays, I've seen him going UEF a bunch of times. So I think he's experimenting with the faction of light or dark, depending on your perspective. Certainly nice to see him in those UEF outfits, always good to see. And he's going to go first land, second air. Now, taking a quick look at Stella Maris, as far as the map goes, you see the line of symmetry of the map there running straight down the center. A lot of water to take advantage of. Bases initially quite close to the water, so potentially a strong strategy there. If you can gain control of the water, create a lot of problems. But of course, a lot of space for either player to expand out on both the upper and lower landmass. Lots of islands to pick up, lots and lots of mass points, and you can see one or two already queued up there far to the east there from ZLO. All of the ones pretty much on the peninsula queued up, ready to go. ZLO not hanging around there, issuing orders early on. On the face of it, you would see, well, you would be able to see if JaggedAppliance's name wasn't quite so long, but before the 1.1k popped up there, you would have been able to see that it was 1600 off. Now, I know it's global rating, that doesn't mean a lot, but JaggedAppliance is giving up a lot of global rating points against ZLO here, so you would expect ZLO to emerge from this one victorious, but that is not necessarily given, as we well know. So ZLO getting to work on a transport, loads that courier up with NGs. Is he going to send it all the way across to the other side of the map? No, not initially. He's going to go straight for the middle island to start with. However, a scout plane overhead will have alerted JaggedAppliance to the threat. That scout plane does get shot down by an escorting interceptor there from ZLO, but the damage is done. In comes an inti there from JaggedAppliance. Build capacity on the ground for the moment. Hydrocarbon queued up. That courier potentially still vulnerable as that inti is going to come in now from Jagged. ZLO going to dispatch his own interceptor to defend. The obligatory flybys ensue. Hydrocarbon online, and ZLO actually going to load that courier back up. That's confidence for you. In comes another interceptor. We can see why. Defending inties enough to bring that one down. So, courier en route, but another interceptor inbound from JaggedAppliance. ZLO senses danger potentially. No, he doesn't. He drops one NG off into the ocean to build, and is going to lose what looks to be about another 4, and the courier, as that second inti from JaggedAppliance is going to spoil his fun. Lots of aircraft over this side of the map now. Initially, expansion very much similar there. It was 25 a piece in generated mass there. It looked like JaggedAppliance jumped up to 30 for a moment, and so it's very much up and down, but not a lot between these two in the first 5 minutes of this one. JaggedAppliance also expanding via transport. One engineer dropped off onto this upper plateau here on the upper landmass. Still, the Intis going at it, this time over the northern continent. JaggedAppliance going to get the better of that exchange. And ZLO foregoing early expansion into the naval game. No naval facilities even queued up for him yet, whereas by contrast, JaggedAppliance has 2 online already. ACU under the water helping with that. Another transport heading south now for JaggedAppliance. Another transport heading east for ZLO. All 4 units of build capacity dropped off onto that southern plateau. It's a lot more build capacity on that plateau than his opponent, dropping off only 2. We've already got, though, a Trident inbound. That frigate going straight down here, no doubt looking for an engineer to try and pick off, to stall any production of any naval facilities. None as yet under construction. Should manage to pick off this NG heading north, though. It's on a simple mass claiming mission. That will be denied, so those 4 mass points will have to wait a little while longer to be claimed. Now, we've actually not got a mini-map online. Probably worth enabling it for this. JaggedAppliance not moving right up to the coastline, missing a bit of a trick there. An immensely powerful anti-aircraft gun on board the Trident, tickling away at one interceptor that ZLO can't be bothered to move. And we do finally have naval yards online. ZLO very sensibly not trying to erect them near his main base, but instead by that central island. Have they been spotted by any flyovers? No. JaggedAppliance is just being sensible and fanning out his frigates. And will probably... No, he won't. Turn south at exactly the wrong moment. Well, no, he just got in range there with a little bit of intel. We'll discover those naval facilities. You can see immediately breaks off with that frigate, even though it was getting good work done on the shoreline. Took down one mass extractor. Wisely realizes that it's much more valuable to continue to deny ZLO the opportunity to get any naval vessels in the water. What he needs to do is get a frigate in here and take down the engineer. Can't actually manage it, though. There he goes. He's got a solution on it. And that will deny the completion of the 3rd naval yard. Submarine coming back now for ZLO, facing 3 frigates, but none of which will have the ability to return fire, of course, on that submarine. Capture wars going on down here. Capture and reclaim wars. ZLO picking up 2 mexes. And now a 3rd as well, as JaggedAppliance, instead of continuing to try and reclaim that engineer, is just going to leave. Odd decision, that one, if you ask me. Another transport away for ZLO. That is going for the middle island over on JaggedAppliance's side of things. This time laden with combat vehicles instead of engineers. Don't manage to stop another naval yard being completed, and that is now 6 naval yards online for JaggedAppliance. ZLO erecting some T1 torpedo launchers over here to persuade Jagged Appliance to give him a little bit of breathing room around his main base. Those 2 torpedo launches manage to kill off 3 frigates, but still a steady stream of T1 vessels heading west for Jagged Appliance. 95 to 86 in generated mass in favor of Jagged Appliance, so ZLO actually slightly behind here on eco, but still too early to draw any conclusions on that front, as we're still just inside 10 minutes. Certainly think Jagged Appliance should switch up his production to some submarine, some silk production or something like that, so he can respond to ZLO's early T1 subs. But he is going straight for a T2 factory there with factory number 5. That's 72% complete and climbing. And Jagged Appliance actually going for the torpedo launcher upgrade on his commander, so very naval-centric focus here from our Cybrin player. Lots and lots of aircraft on the scene for ZLO. And he has upgraded to T2 air as well, as we see a Stinger inbound going after an engineer or 2, and another one going after a T1 mechs, but those 2 are promptly swatted away by Appliance's Air Force, which, while not seemingly to be quite so innumerate, 27 as ZLO's 50. Still packing enough punch there for him to secure the skies. However, a Sparky has managed to make landfall over here at the top left for ZLO. Immediately erects a T1 plasma cannon. It's going to take down a mechs and deny the auto gun, which build capacity over here is desperately trying to get online. Nearly manages it too, but just a little bit too much going on there. The Sparky starts construction of the Triad, but then it promptly realizes that it needs to take care of that T1 land factory. Takes a little bit of fire from another auto gun. He's going to stray out of range with that and then start work on a Triad. Good focus here from ZLO as he tries to take control of this top left corner. And that Triad looks like it might get online. No gunships available for quick response from Jagged Appliance. Can't be sending anything like that to counter. Interceptors inbound in the center of the map now from Appliance as they're going after yet another Stinger. That could be quite costly for Appliance. Well, not really. ZLO decides not to dispatch his interceptors. Well, it was more a case that he wasn't concentrating at the time, couldn't get in behind them. So that will be a free kill, I think, as those inties bug out and draw ZLO's interceptors in over the top of those frigates. Wants to keep going, ideally. But another wave of Stingers inbound, and this time there are quite a lot of them, to be about 6. And one of those Triads now online and out of range of the auto guns. Stinger's going to go to work on the static emplacements as well, and unless Jagged Appliance can get some more stuff over here quickly, this is going to be a nice incursion by ZLO. So good solid work there from our UEF player. Still seems weird saying that in relation to ZLO. And interestingly, the islands over here haven't been fought over that much since ZLO made his initial push. ZLO's still firmly in control of the mass down here. All it would take is a couple of frigates from this pile to be dispatched to deal with these. Looks like one Salem is going to be brought into the area to do just that. ZLO now ahead in generated eco, 133 to 109, and up on power as well by 500 or so. Stingers in the area can easily take control of, or at least take care of, a few of these T2 mexes on the rear plateau, and that's going to eat into Jagged Appliance's economy dramatically if he does so. However, Seems like his attention is elsewhere for the moment. Finally, the order is dispatched. Certainly that top left mass point is going to go down. Jagged Appliance has been focusing on air production quite heavily, though seems to have superseded potentially ZLO's numbers. We're up to 56 fueled up interceptors there for Jagged Appliance. Compare that to the 29 fueled up and the 33 out of fuel for ZLO. ZLO going to sacrifice those Stingers, trying to pick off one more mechs. This combat now taking shape over the top of a couple of T1 tracers as well, belonging to Jagged Appliance. That's going to go badly for ZLO, so modest win, but an important one there for Appliance. He did lose that second T2 mass extractor. See him stalling at around the 103 mark, but meanwhile, nice little push down at the bottom as Jagged Appliance sends in his fleet. However, not packing enough punch to force ZLO out of the wards down here. We've got T2 torpedo launchers down there, we've got T1 subs, but more importantly, we've got Ravagers online at the coastline down there for ZLO. So ZLO progressing to T3 in good time there. And that's more than enough firepower to force Jagged Appliance backwards. Transport with flak on the move now there for Appliance. One inbound for ZLO with a few T1 units on board. Looks to be mostly strikers. That's going to run straight into a cruiser though. Generally doesn't end well for transports when they fly over the top of cruisers. Today, no exception. But look out, comm drop. Very in vogue at the moment. Love what I'm seeing here from Jagged Appliance. Brings his ACU into the fold down here. Immediately gets a couple of T1 PDs online. There is a triad in play down here. There's a Sparky as well. It's just got another plasma cannon online as well. But there's a lot of T1 PD. Couple that with the destructive firepower on board that ACU. That is going to be a pretty sturdy beachhead for our Cybrin. Air power inbound there for ZLO, but I love this. That was all coupled with a banger drop that we saw coming in over the center. Wasn't quite positioned right to take care of the Stingers. Of course, had he been any further south, would have run straight into those Riptides that are now promptly heading east with speed. Jagged Appliance has a Cerberus turret online, needs to get some flak though ASAP, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go straight for a Myrmidon instead. T3, why not? That's a very sturdy little fortification that is now in play in the bottom right. So we've got two incursions, one from each player now onto their opposing land masses. Starting to heat up in this one at the 17-minute mark, and a nice blockade in place from Jagged Appliance as well, who has evened things up in eco. 129 now to 104. Could do with taking care of business in the islands on this side of the map. Has dropped a large amount of build capacity over here, but with his attention elsewhere, that's now taking Lobo fire. And it's just getting all out reclaimed. Slight error there from Jagged Appliance. Misses an opportunity. Could have easily got some T1 PDs online and denied or taken control of that central island. Denied yet more eco. 138 to 132. Things suddenly very close once again in this one. Is that a attack missile that's inbound? It looks like it might be going straight after a T2 mechs there. And yet more out all over. Jagged Appliance with no TMD in place as yet to stop this. ZLO being very selective with his targets, going after all of those T2 mass extractors. And suddenly Jagged Appliance finds himself in the low hundreds once again on mass. And would you look at that, straight T3 naval for ZLO, no hanging about, Neptune class online. That's going to be more than a match for anything that JaggedAppliance has in this vicinity. Doesn't really even need to be clever about it, can just send that straight in, and there's about to be another one online as well. This presents a significant challenge now for JaggedAppliance, who has no real option except to withdraw from this portion of the map with his navy. Try to keep as many online as he can. Still the barrage of TAC missiles continues. 5 mass extractors now, 6 for that TAC missile launcher. JaggedAppliance trying to keep pace, but ZLO pulling away now, 174 to 123. JaggedAppliance still ahead on power though. ZLO probably needs to do something about that reasonably soon. He's close to the breadline. 260 odd power net with current expenditure taken into account. ZLO being unnecessarily cagey with his Neptunes. You just want to send them in, my friend. Boldness of attack. Stalks over here, getting harassed pretty heavily by that cruiser. The edge of the peninsula. Build capacity in play there, trying to hold on to this portion of the map. Gets a T1 PD online. Doesn't manage to complete the T1 land factory. No more build capacity left alive for JaggedAppliance. And he says 2 can play at that game. Has now a TML online of his own with 1 kill to his name. Now going straight after ZLO's resourcing options. Loving the tit for tat in this one. And a Monkey Lord online as well, or going online, sorry. I shouldn't say online. Monkey Lord under construction, just initiated over here for JaggedAppliance. Very cheap, experimental to build, of course. Likely he's going to have that online long before ZLO has anything comparable. UEF, of course, with the Fat Boy. You wouldn't necessarily choose to build one of those, I wouldn't think. On a map like this, I could be wrong. Certainly wouldn't be my first choice. Now, a little bit of Viper pressure from JaggedAppliance, picking off those forward Riptides. But this presents the largest problem for JaggedAppliance. These Neptunes that are inbound. No T3 on the way as yet for our Cybrin player. He's bought himself some time, I think, with the structures on the mainland up here. These Neptunes, rather than risking pushing a bad situation, instead electing to pick off a few of the structures that are vulnerable on the coastline on this part of the map. Viper down to a triad, but his friends in the rear will pick up the kill. Amazing how the areas of engagement have altered in this one. They're now perpendicular instead of horizontal. Massive group of pillars heading east now for ZLO. They're going to run into the first major defensive fortification. Major, perhaps an overstatement. One lone T1 PD going to stand against the horde and not last too long. It's now change of hands. That portion of territory, another front line under construction. Mainly wall sections, though, for the moment. One T1 PD yet to complete. Just get the feeling the momentum is with ZLO. Still this central island over in the east under ZLO's control. Astonishingly, though, JaggedAppliance ahead momentarily on eco. That might have been a power issue for ZLO as he jumps back up to 173 to 124. With the Neptunes sitting off the peninsula and a large group of pillars invading the mainland of the peninsula. This game starting to look like it's only going in one direction. JaggedAppliance, to be fair, still making a go of it on the southern landmass, but he's backed up to his harbour area, still not attempting T3 Navy or anything like it. How was that Monkey Lord is the question. Well, that is now online and heading west. It will have taken a large amount of appliances, resources to complete. He must make it count. Attack missile launchers still getting the job done down here for appliance. Appliance trying to get some work done over the ocean with some cormorants. They're going to fall foul of the cruisers. 3 Neptunes now dispatched to the bottom right corner of the map. No doubt wanting to harass this base. Take a look at the kind of range ZLO has available to him, and everything down here pretty much is going to be within pretty easily accessible range of those battle cruisers. Loyalists trying to hold the fort against overwhelming amounts of T2 tanks. And now we see a real payoff for Appliance. That Monkey Lord inbound and heading west. He's got 3 Ravagers to contend with. ZLO is at the front line with his ACU, and there is a battleship in the bay as well. That's Summit unleashing its mighty artillery into the chassis now of that Monkey Lord that's down to 27,500 hit points. ZLO now trying to spam up some T1 PD. He's positioned himself right up against the coastline so he can dip into the water if he has to. Curiously, the Ravagers going after the T1 units because of a lack of vision on that Monkey Lord. Of course, stealth on board that Monkey Lord will play havoc with your defenses. And now the T2 fusions are under fire, but there's enough firepower left in the base for ZLO to finish off that monkey. And we switch back over to the east and we see what's been going on in that base. Well, it's stood up pretty well as for the moment. Navy OP. Well, you went pretty hardcore Navy initially, Jagged, but then backed off it and allowed ZLO to get set up. Of course, late game UEF Navy, very strong indeed, much stronger than the Cybrins. It's probably the point in the cast where Cybrin fanboys offer up their retorts in comment section. Well, sorry, that's not a topic that's up for debate, that's just fact. And JaggedAppliance now sending his vessels into ZLO's waters, but that's surely an act of desperation, as those Neptunes now rolling in behind them, and those battlecruisers are going to catch a whole load of those T1 interceptors just napping. That's a horrible place to park. Lambs to the slaughter, fish in the barrel, every proverb under the sun. Very bad day to be a Cyberin interceptor. He's held off pretty well at the top here. T3 units getting the job done pretty well against the pillars. And importantly, is still in control of the bottom right hand corner. Would you look at all the Gunthers he's got set up to combat the UEF Navy. I think it's almost worth going brick now and dumping the loyalists. Yes, you're facing T2, but those pillars are hefty SOBs at the best of times when you're facing so many of them. And then suddenly there was quiet. So 30 minutes gone in this one. ZLO considered to be ahead. Certainly has the advantage in the naval side of things, but JaggedAppliance holding on to about 50% of the territory, maybe a little less if you take into account the redundant islands that are sitting in the center. But in terms of mainland composition, doing pretty well. ZLO could do with issuing an all-out attack order up here with those pillars. There he goes. JaggedAppliance not utilizing those loyalists to the best of their abilities, taking advantage of their speed. Would you look at this? Mech Marines inbound. Who says light assault bots are only useful for the first 3 minutes of a game? ZLO wholeheartedly disagrees with your premise. That should be a new meme. And JaggedAppliance throws out the GG. And control case is comm. And it's all down to the naval pressure that's coming in through the center. Otherwise, he was doing pretty well. You have to say, he wasn't that far behind in eco. You never know if it's an accurate reading or not, but 120 to 150 at last call. It certainly didn't look like ZLO was in any danger of breaking through up at the top. And the bottom was pretty secure. But I guess he didn't want to face potential slow death. I want to back off and say it wasn't a total Idra moment there, where someone surrenders or gives up for no reason, but I don't think it was worth giving up just then. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. As always, more to come from me in the future. Speed, if you're watching, I'd very much like to discuss our project this afternoon, or this evening even, when I should be online later tonight, and get those voiceovers completed for your co-op project tomorrow. I will do my best. I know I've said that a lot, and I've lied a lot. I do that. But I really, really mean it this time. Anyway, guys, as I say, hope you enjoyed that. That's all from me. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Guile, signing out.